It's the
Show.
All right, so welcome back, guys. We have Lee Matsos here joining us. I'm excited to do this interview. Of course, I have Matt Scrobat in front of me with his fairy godmother, as I just was talking about.
These are my headphones. What do you want?
And he's sweating again.
It's hot in here.
So, Lee, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good, man. You know, it's intense. It's intense. I got my second EP coming out in a month. So I got a lot going on. It's good.
I heard about that. That's Metamorphosis 2, right?
Metamorphosis 2, yeah, it's part 2 of a 3-part album basically that I'm doing. So
tell me a little bit more about that, because I was doing a lot of reading, and we've been listening to a lot of your songs. And so what is I mean, I've read it, but I just want you to explain it in your own words, what Metamorphosis is to you.
Well, it is really Metamorphosis. The bottom line definition comes down to transformation. But I mean, in my life, particularly the last 8 years, I've been through a lot of stuff, and my music just really expresses that. I think I wrote most of this album actually when I was studying in Prince Edward Island in 2020. I went back to school when I was 35 and studied for 2 years, and got stuck up there during COVID, and it was a whole thing. It was really strange.
Yeah.
But I wrote most of the album while I was there, and it was a really beautiful time in a really weird way. But I think it was a time that allowed me to get out all of these songs, which really are about all of these difficulties that I've been through with losing my mom to cancer, and with going through, I'd been through it at that time. I was going through multiple concussions, and was really just processing a lot of difficult stuff. And butterflies are something that have, as corny as it sounds, have meant something to me for a long time. I wrote actually my senior thesis in college was called Monarch, and I named it after the monarch butterfly, and it was actually a memoir about just the past year of my life. But butterflies at that time in my life, basically, I was seeing a lot of butterflies, and they came to mean something to me, just in terms of every time I saw a butterfly, it kind of was a sign that I was on the right track. And I kept seeing all these monarch butterflies, and it was just very strange. I would see one almost every day. And I was like, man, that's weird, but it became this kind of comforting symbol for me. And so fast forward, to the time of writing these songs, and that imagery kind of came back to me. I thought a lot about what that meant at that time, and the butterflies thing kind of came back to me, and I started thinking a lot about that, and about the symbolism of what it means to go through difficulties in life, and the metaphor of the caterpillar going into the cocoon, and what that means as a metaphor for us, for what it means for us to go through difficult times, what it could mean for us to, metaphorically go into the cocoon, and whether it's going through the death of a parent, or going through a physical injury, or divorce, or whatever it is we might be going through, but what that, necessarily does to transform our lives. And then emerging from that, we don't like to go through it. Nobody likes to go through it. Nobody likes to talk about it, but we end up coming out of that, and somehow we come out better than we were actually in a, so it's, that's kind of where this comes from. And I found that when I wrote these songs, they were just ready to come out and express that. to be honest. I didn't really predetermine a lot of that. But the themes kind of came out in a way that was organic and thematically tied together in a way that I can't explain, in an almost supernatural way. So it was pretty incredible. And I've spent the last 5 years just trying to orchestrate this process of putting this music out. And I'm almost like 2/3 of the way through that. And so it's been a big job, you know.
Yeah. No, hey man, I get it. I lost both of my parents. I lost my mom in 2022 Christmas Eve of cancer, both of my parents from cancer. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I love I was reading the way you were explaining the butterfly too. You know, how it goes through a traumatic experience to become that, you know, in the
Right.
cocoon. Yeah, so that was awesome the way you worded that, because you know you never think of that, like when you're talking about butterflies. You're right, you think like, oh, that's a little bit corny, but then you get into it and you really deeply think about that, and it's really a good sign of life, you know.
I think
You gotta
it's
start from
really,
somewhere.
yeah, I think it's really special. And I don't think I think it's a lot of people are tapping into that right now. Like it seems like every week I see somebody with a butterfly tattoo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's really like, you know, I like to think I was on the leading edge of the craze, you know, but when I wrote this album. But you know, I feel like a lot of people are feeling this.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm excited to, and I'm not the only songwriter that's been writing songs, you know, called Metamorphosis, and putting, you know, butterflies on logos and everything. But it's just a lot. I think a lot of people are feeling that metaphor right now. So it's there's something to it for sure.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I was also reading too, like during the time of COVID, and it seems like everyone, that's when people were coming out and like kind of tinkering with stuff and writing stuff, and that's where their creative process, you know, came from. So tell me more about that. Like so during COVID, that's when your music came abroad. Were you now? Excuse me if I get this wrong, but were you an opera singer, or was that your dad that was the opera singer?
Well, both. I mean,
Oh, okay.
both. You know, my dad. Ironically, my dad was actually when he was young, he was a nightclub singer in on the East Coast. He's from Athens, Greece, and he sang in Greek nightclubs
Oh, wow.
on the East Coast, and that's where he met my mom. But then he later, it was his dream to be an opera singer, and he ended up in my hometown of Worcester, Ohio. There's a company called the Ohio Light Opera,
Yeah.
and it's a summer opera company. So my dad sang in that for 42 years, and I grew up around that, you know, every summer, and so that was my background. And I sang in the Ohio Light Opera when I was only 19, and so yeah, so opera musical theater was my background, and so I was kind of like the uh opposite direction of my dad. He started more contemporary, I started more opera, and now I've moved to contemporary, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
No.
definitely hear the opera like background in your voice and stuff when you're singing too, though.
Oh, for sure.
But you make it
Yeah.
fit well with the contemporary and pop type music.
Well, thank you. I think I did that by listening to a lot of Bono, to be honest.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yeah, I mean, you know that song, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own.
Yes.
He sings he says, you know, you're the reason why the opera is in me. So his dad must have been in opera too. I don't know, but because he says that in the song.
We'll have
But
to research that.
yeah, yeah, there's something to that too. But there's something very operatic in that. They're one of my biggest influences. U2. There's
Yeah.
something very emotional and operatic in their music. But yeah, I listen to a lot of that, and like a lot of Coldplay, and just a lot of like emotive pop rock. And I found that I somehow I was able to bridge like the opera stuff to the contemporary through listening to that kind of stuff. And that's actually what inspired me to do it. Was there's something about the way those guys perform that made me want to perform in a similar way.
Right.
And that it was like, wow, I saw them performing and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like opera's cool, but when I see those guys performing in that way with the, electric guitar and the way that the way that all the instrumentals just make it go like that.
Yeah.
That's something that opera can't do, in my opinion, as wonderful as opera is. So
Right. Now, do you play any instruments? Well,
I play
besides piano,
keyboard.
because I did
Yeah, we
see
saw
you
you
play
play
keyboard.
Yeah. I actually play bassoon as well. I play
Oh,
bassoon,
no
but that
shit.
really
All
fit,
right.
But yeah, I played I played bassoon in high school. I auditioned for the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra once. That was a disaster, but yeah, I've been kind of all over the map. But yeah, keyboard was the first instrument I ever played, and then I came back to it when I wrote these songs. I wrote these songs on keyboard, and when I was in my mid-20s, I wrote a few songs on guitar as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just, guitar doesn't really fit me that well. Keyboard's going pretty well, so yeah, these songs are working pretty well for me on keyboard, and they're working pretty well solo and with a full band. So
Yeah. I wish
yeah.
the hell that I could play keyboard. Like that was like my number one thing that my number one instrument that I wanted to play all the time was
You could still learn.
the key. Yeah, I'm getting too old. Not too old, but I have kids and there's a lot of shit going on. So but it's crazy because music is that powerful. Like if I'm like, it just brings you to a different world. Like, you could be sad, you could be depressed, you could be happy, and there's still somewhere that you can play some kind of song that will bring you into that light of how you're feeling. When
Right.
if I talk to my kid and like, if he does something bad or something and I ground him from something, TV, whatever, I'll never ground him from music because you can't take that away from the kid.
I love that. I love
It's
that.
crazy, man.
I would, I wouldn't have been grounded from opera. I might have been grounded from everything else when I was a kid, but I wasn't. Yeah, I was sheltered from everything except opera for the most part, so that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
But
So you play with other musicians when you play live, right?
I do. Well, I do both. I do, like, for this upcoming, I'm calling it a concert series, I guess. I'm doing a mix of solo and full bands.
Okay.
But I mean, I really love doing full band. It's kind of more complex to put it together. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, full band is kind of where my heart is. It just takes a lot of pieces. You got to get all the pieces together just right, and I'm kind of still trying to get that totally together, I think.
Yeah.
But
Now,
I think it really, so much of it is I really feed off an audience. I've had some really good shows solo on keyboard, and I've had some good shows with full band, and so much is about whether the energy of the audience is there and whether I'm feeding off of that. So
yeah.
yeah.
Do you like what do you like prefer, the solo or with the other bands or with other musicians, sorry.
I mean, it really depends, not to cop out on you, but
Yeah.
I played a solo show in Pittsburgh in March, and I think that was my favorite show that I've done. It was at a place called the Space Upstairs, which is a really cool aesthetics. It's like, it looks like an attic, and it's like just really a cool artistic space. They do a lot of dance stuff up there, but the audience was just super engaged, and it was like the best listening room environment you could possibly imagine. So it was like they were hanging on every note that I was playing and every note that I was singing. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where I shine, you know, when I can feel that. And and then and then but you know, I did a show in January with a full band, um I was it was a really eclectic mix of bands. Like the headline band was borderline, you know, metal, and I do, you know, pop rock and like, you know, and I was the let off the night, but it worked really well. It
Yeah.
just that the audience, I think maybe they weren't expecting what I did, and
Well,
they
after
were they
metal
were
bands, it's
right.
a
Well,
little bit
they were
different.
there to hear they were there to hear something else. But then
Yeah.
I got some unexpected Instagram followers
Nice.
from people that are, you know, normally posting, you know, pictures of themselves with touring metal bands.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I mean, they
you
may
know,
love metal, but they probably have other interests too. So they found something they
right.
enjoyed. Yeah.
So that's why that show really kind of you know, challenged my stereotypes of, like, you know, just of wanting to really cater a show with like a, you know, having a very similar genre with you know, having bands with, you know, all a very similar genre. I'm kind of trying to peel myself away from that because it can be really fun to have an eclectic mix for sure.
And so you are playing at a singer-songwriter showcase. So where is that exact? So it's a coffee
Yeah.
house, right?
Yeah, so Lecco Coffee, it's in Ohio City, which is just it's in downtown Cleveland. Um and it's September 6th, and Van Arlo's going to be there.
Oh, nice.
Van Arlo is going to start off the night, and he's going to have a couple string players with him. Um because I said that he could do what he wants. That's what he wants to do, and I don't
Yeah.
want to step on his toes. And it's going to be great. Um and I've got Lauren Brabson and Chrissy Strong, and they're both from Akron, and they're both really good local songwriters that are up and coming and really solid. It's going to be like a really eclectic night. Like I'm gonna just I'm gonna try to take a step back, even though it's my show and it's my EP release. I'm gonna try to let them do what they do, because they all have something really unique to offer with what they do. But the one thing that all of them have in common is that they all have really cool stories. We all have overcome a lot and have just come back from a lot of setbacks, and that's, I think that comes through in the music, and I think it'll come through in the stories that we share, and the songs that we share. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. I'm excited. It's September 6th at 7:30. So
September 6th at
yeah.
7:30. Now, do you have to buy tickets before, or do you buy
Yes,
them at
the
the door?
tickets are on Eventbrite, and that is on. You can go on my Instagram is Lee Music, and
Okay.
there's a link in the bio there. There's an Eventbrite page, and yeah, but it's we're looking to I'm gonna have some promos going on, some 2-for-1s, and some 25% offs deals coming up. So we're gonna try to get some people in the door. It's gonna be good.
That'll be awesome, man.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So when you're writing, you know, there's always like a different creative process that artists go through, right? Like it's always
Right.
something that, you know, obviously everyone has their things that they sing about. And so it sounds like when I'm listening to your songs, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more so about your, you know, your personal life, and basically the stuff that you have gone through. And by the way, side note, the Mother's Day weekend, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Um, I love that song.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, I was playing it to him, like, you know, and like I said, like I have, you know, I had my mother that passed, and you know, it just it fucking hits your heartstrings, just to put it blunt.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, yeah. My mom was special. So that's I just really told that story. Each verse of that song was just a kind of a different part of life, you know, childhood, and then like young adulthood, and then the part near her death, right? So it's just that's kind of all that was. But that, yeah, it was. And you know, the song, just the first verse started out like when I was in Prince Edward Island writing the song. It was a rainy day. It was on Mother's Day weekend. That's when I wrote the song, so I called it Mother's Day Weekend. Uh, and then when I performed the song, when I released the song, I performed it at a. I was the featured performer at this open mic, and I performed the song the night before it released. Um, and it was a really good audience, and the weather was exactly like when I wrote the song. So I was like, I couldn't even get through the song. I started crying in the middle of the song because it
Oh,
was like
jeez, yeah.
the weather was just the weather is what got me,
Oh
because
shit, yeah, yeah,
it was the same. But
yeah.
but yeah, she was a yeah. My mom was, every mom is special, but my mom was really was exceptional. So and I think I hope that comes through. I hope that it honors her memory and all of
Oh, I
that.
think you have nothing to worry about, because it did. Like, you know, like I said, like it's hard to get me up in arms with that stuff. And you know, when I listened to that song, I was like, damn, man, I felt it. So that was you definitely did your job with that.
That was a very good song.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to hear that. Thank you.
I would be curious because you're an opera singer, or we're an opera singer. Do you more like start focusing on melody or lyrics?
Hmm. No,
Like to begin with, when you start writing a song.
when I start writing a song, like my process. Um, you know, the melody is usually what comes, and honestly, it could even just it can be the chords. It can be just uh what strikes me when I sit down at the keyboard. But it's usually it's usually the melody first, and then I put chords to it, and then the lyrics come after that.
Okay.
um but usually yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was curious because like you came from an opera background kind of, so I was wondering like do you go more melody or lyrical? Because everyone writes differently, but being an opera singer, you're kind of doing melody and lyrics at the same time. That's why I was curious about that.
yeah I just that's usually the order that it comes. But
Okay.
I just if I have to try to force it too much, I I don't do it. I'm way over on the with songwriting. I'm way over on the organic end of the spectrum, and it's not a popular opinion. I don't have a popular opinion on songwriting. I feel like the popular opinion on songwriting is work on your craft and write a song every day, and get better at songwriting, and that's not my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think it comes organically, and and I think realistically we're all really busy. You know, for me to release an EP, two EPs, three EPs within 3 years is a lot of work. When I wrote the album, it was like 15 songs, 13 to 15 songs came out within 6 months or so, and that was like a big creative burst,
Mm.
right? So it's different for everybody. I respect people that write a song every day. I don't, and you know, I think I think what it's okay any way you do it, but you know, that's just me.
Yeah. And I read somewhere that did you see Dean Martin live? Did I read that correctly?
Almost. Sammy Davis and Frank Sinatra.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah, and they were touring together in the late '80s. and I was like, yeah, I mean, I just turned 40, and I don't know how many people my age have seen those guys perform. I consider myself very lucky
That's
for
awesome.
that. So,
I'm 40
yeah.
and all I seen was Limp Bizkit. No, I've seen a lot more.
Well, that's also culture, you know.
It's culture.
It's also culture. It's just a different kind, you know.
Yeah.
I wish that, you know, I
I
wish
was
that there's other
reading.
things that I had seen when I was a kid. But
Yeah, my first concert was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I guess it's coming out of their shells live is what it was.
well, you know, I mean, and I mean, I got to see Disney Stars on Ice with, you know, whoever I'm Christy Yamaguchi, you know. So it's like
Yeah,
whatever your parents thought was the thing.
right.
It's
Yeah,
all good in its own way, I guess.
yeah. I was reading that, man. I was like, man, I'm jealous. I have well, I don't. This
You
is
can't see
blocking
it.
it, but
There's a brick wall in the way.
yeah, there's Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. You know, all the guys. Like, I have a picture in you know back here. So
I still, you know, I've recently gone back and watched some Sammy Davis though.
yeah,
It still applies. The stage presence was
yeah,
so incredible.
yeah,
It still applies. It applies to any genre.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
so
He was definitely one of a kind.
yeah, absolutely.
So when does Metamorphosis 2 when's the release date? Is it that day that you have the show?
Same day, yeah, September 6th.
Okay.
And yeah, same day. So I'm really busy right now. I'm working on so I'm gonna release 2 music videos.
Nice.
They were shot live in the studio with a full band. And so I'm releasing teasers of those. I'm working on those right now that are going to be released over the next month. And I'm excited to, you know, like I think the best content that I've had so far that I'm going to release. So I'm excited about that, just to get that out there. And yeah, it's just my mind is spinning with everything I got to do, but it's all good. But that's what is in my mind right now is like my calendar for the next, because 5 weeks goes by very quick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where can people find your music at? Where can they if it's available for sale, where can they get that at?
Yes, you can buy my music on Bandcamp. I have a Bandcamp. It's Lee Miller Matsos is my official artist name, and you can find all of my links. I have a link tree, and I have a website, leemillermatsos.com. So you can find both of those on my Instagram. And again, my Instagram is LeeMM Music. And so you can find the link tree with all of my social media links. You can find some videos. You can find my YouTube with videos. You can find my Bandcamp, my Spotify, all of that there. And you can also find my my website, which has even more, has links to stuff like media coverage, and you can learn more about my opera background and stuff like that. So it's all out there. I'm working on expanding it all the time. So
I noticed in your video that you sent to us with the song, you were wearing a shirt with your logo on it. Will those be available
yes,
at the concert?
you can buy those. You can buy those on my Shopify store. There's a link to that on my website as well, and you can buy those at the concert.
Oh, nice.
And I'm also going to be introducing some new merch at the concert as well. Some new Metamorphosis Part 2 EP posters, and some stickers as well. It's
Nice.
I'm introducing stickers because everybody has stickers, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, yeah.
I mean, I need to jump on the bandwagon with the
Yeah.
stickers for sure. So I'm excited to have all that. So it's, yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
Just are you from Greece, or where were you born? Were you born in United States, or?
I was born in the U.S. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I look like I was born in Greece, like I could have been. I look like a lot like my dad, and but my dad was born in Greece, and I was born in Ohio, and my mom is from Ohio, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, we have interviewed bands from like Scotland and England, France, all of that, and I ask them the same exact question. Is there any chance that you're going to play in Chicago?
Absolutely. I mean, can you? I mean, do you have any? Do you
There's
have anybody I can reach out to? I've already
Yeah,
played in. I'm playing in Pittsburgh again in 3 weeks from tonight. So I've already. I mean, it's Chicago's like the next step, hopefully for me. So
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
if
Yeah,
I can
we
get
got a
that dude's
few
contact,
we got a few contacts we could probably try
yeah,
to get in
well, we
touch
could
with.
send your way, because I'd love to come and check you out, and support. We'd love to, this is what we do. We'd love to support, independent musicians, bands, stuff like that. So we would love to see you.
that would be awesome. I love Chicago. Chicago gets it when it comes to music.
Oh, for sure.
When-
Especially blues, jazz, like that's all down here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's that's why I feel like Chicago gets music is because it's the heart of blues and jazz, and that's where rock came out of. So
Yep.
that's what it's all about. But yeah,
I think we're pretty much done. Hey man, it was great talking to you.
Yeah.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
a
That
lot of
was
stuff, and again, like I feel the whole mom thing, because it was a rough time. My mom had dementia, and then well, she had cancer, she got radiation, and then she got dementia, and it was a whole long thing. So I when I heard when I told you I listened to Mother's Day weekend song, man, I was just like fucking in tears.
well, yeah. I've never heard anybody say that about the song. So obviously that
It's a joyous,
yeah,
it
yeah.
celebrates
It's
good
cathartic.
things, but it was just like, it brings you back to the time. I'm not saying it's a bad song at all. It was just, it hit heartstrings with it.
Yeah, I do think probably it's I think that there's my music's going to make some people uncomfortable in some ways.
That's
There's
good though. That's
That's
good.
good.
yeah, yeah.
You need
Some
to
of my
explore
lyrics
that.
are my lyrics are challenging, but I think in good ways. So I'm gonna yeah, just gonna do that.
For sure. It was a beautiful song, and I know you said that, you hope that it was a good tribute to your mom, and it definitely was. Like, you don't need to worry about that. It definitely was.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I hope I'm just gonna try to yeah, I'm gonna try to just get this music out there the best that I can so people can hear this. That's my next, everybody about every challenge of the independent musician is just how do you get people to hear the music? There's millions of songs on Spotify, so
Yeah.
you know that you have something good. It's not about that, it's just how do you get people to get the right ears on it.
Right.
Yep.
But that's I think it'll get there. So but I it's a thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
No
It's really
problem at
cool.
all. We'll let you know when it releases. I think it's gonna release the 16th, I
I
said.
think you said the 16th. Yeah.
The 16th. I'll
Okay.
have a video, this whole interview video. There'll be audio and some, a clip of something in the interview. And then, we'll send all the info. We're gonna promote the hell out of everything. So yeah,
So
it'll be great.
it'll be released at like around this time of the night, and it'll just be there, right?
Yeah, probably,
It'll-
because it's got to
oh,
be edited and all that. And then it'll be released. I would say probably around what,
Probably around 9 o'clock
9 o'clock.
Central Standard Time.
Yeah, Central
yeah,
Standard
You
Time.
guys are in Eastern, so
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So
I'm still feeling pretty good over here, but yeah.
But yeah, man, hey, I appreciate everything, man. Lee Miller Matsos, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon. I'll let you know when everything is up, buddy.
Yeah, and hey, yeah, let me know if you want me in Chicago, hit me up.
For sure. Yeah, I'll email you some of the contacts. I just got to look for them. Once I find them, I'll send them your way.
That'd be amazing. Thank you guys so much again.
All right,
Thanks for
man.
your
All right, man.
Peace.
good night.